Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to One Hub Racing P2 tier. We're here tonight for the penultimate round of what has been a brilliant season so far. It has been a classic. Lots of highs, lots of lows as you expect in a brilliant championship battle, but it certainly doesn't end tonight. Hopefully we will be possibly going on to next week. The championship permutations certainly state that, but we are here tonight in Austin, Texas for the United States Grand Prix, our second race here in the United States this season, and hopefully it's as good as the first. He's back with me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined alongside Matthew after a brief absence. I have my co-commentator back. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you for welcoming me back, and I hope you didn't miss me too much, but I'm sure my replacement was more than adequate, and I'm glad to be back. Yeah, it's a tricky track, especially if there's interchangeable conditions as experienced down in the P4 tier earlier on, but I'm sure these guys will be anticipating every raindrop that falls.
Yeah, we have breaking news in the chat actually. Cam saying Cam is hungry, so we hope you can get some food on board. But it is a home Grand Prix, I believe, for Cam, if I am not mistaken. But I well could be. It's a popular thing here. But we can run you through, briefly, the championship standings ahead of this evening. It is, of course, ERT Larkin who took the championship lead after the Spanish Grand Prix. He is now on 85 points, ahead of J. Cole in second with 77. Then it is JM69YT on, quite ironically, 69 points, so I'm sure he's delighted with that. But then it is ERT Nick in fourth with 54 and Schnicksel in fifth with 51. Of course, it's really the top three, top two even, will be looking for to win the title. But Nick and Schnicksel may have one last breath depending on results. But we did see Red Bull Racing have wrapped up the constructors' standings. They have had a pretty dominant season, and nobody has really questioned them, of course, as we look at some One Hub history in the United States. The last time we came here in the P2 tier was back in season 19. It was won by Glock, and yes, that was Glock who won here the last time. But as Matthew said, interchangeable conditions can be pretty tricky, and we should see a great race, hopefully. We're just getting into it now. We started a little bit early, or the lobby started a little bit late even, so we could give you some brief bit of chat before, but we're loading in now. We'll see what the conditions are like, whether we're going to get a wet quality or dry. Absolutely bone dry for now.
Yes, always for now. And the Taz is saying that there's very little chance of rain in qualifying. Slightly more chance in the race, but I really doubt we'll see it. Although the air temperature is 26 at the moment, and track temperature is 26 and air temperature is 18. And it's going to be similar in the race with cloudy and 13% chance of rain in the race. So I think we should have a dry one this week.
There's a quick message in the chat for you to check your messages from, I believe it's Nick on the One Hub account, so I just will pass that one on. But we're getting ready to go here in qualifying. You can see everybody out on track as we see Nick's teammate Colin Mason, who has been very good as of recent. He's had a good few comeback drives, I suppose you could say. He's had a bit of bad luck in the races, and he's come back well. Of course, he had a fifth place finish in the Spanish Grand Prix in the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. The results for that race, of course, this time last week was ERT Larkin ahead of JM in second, Schnicksel in third, Cam K picking up Ferrari's best result of the season in fourth, with Colin or Mason in fifth. So good results for Colin. The Welshman has proved to be a pretty quick driver this season. We knew he had pace anyways, but despite some bad luck, he has always come back and always gave it his all, and that's what we love to see. Quick spin in sector 1 for Thomas Mack. That is disappointing there, as we see Cam. Oh, I thought Cam went round in the first sector, but clearly not. Cam is still going strong. It's the two Red Bulls who will set the pace in this session, we believe. That's not only the prediction coming into every week, but it's the two Red Bulls who are the first two cars out on track. Of course, we've seen inter-team battles around the circuit of the Americas before 2015. Hamilton and Rosberg had a titanic clash. Bottas and Hamilton, a not so titanic, but certainly a clash. And then we've seen various other teams of scraps here throughout the years. Of course, we've seen the two old folk, you could say, Alonso and Raikkonen, have a bit of a battle in 2021, but we're looking at J. Cole to start his qualifying lap as he heads up towards turn number 1. It's a really steep elevation change there as he rotates the car in, heading down towards a flat turn 2 and into the S's section, which is reminiscent of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel in Silverstone. Of course, there's a lot of different corners that are moulded off different circuits here. Istanbul's turn 8 and Hockenheim Stadium section are just to name a few, but good sector 1 from J. Cole in his Orbital Red Bull racing cars. There's a yellow flag. It's actually Larkin who's made a mistake, so the other Red Bull not having as good of a time in sector 1. This is a very tricky track for most drivers, and Larkin is one of those.
Yeah, and Lawson's not having a good time of it either. He's just invalidated through Sector 1 as well. You talk about the Maggots Beckett's like section, that is where he got a little bit too wide coming through there, so that's an invalidation for him. But I wonder if Cam got some food, because he's out on track now, ready to do some laps. So let's see what he does in that. I really like the yellow rear-ringed Ferrari at the moment.
Yeah, and clearly Cam does too, because Cam's been performing very well in it. As we keep an eye on J. Cole, it's purple in sector number 1. Sorry, it's not purple in sector number 1. We're only speaking about Cam. Purple in sector number 1 for the Ferrari. It's purple in sector 2 for Larkin, actually. But Larkin, of course, his lap is not going to be a representative one. J. Cole across the line to set the banker time. It's a 1:33.4. It was Larkin who spun round, and I believe Schnitzel has just gone round as... Oh no, it was not Schnitzel, it was Lasse Lawson who's gone round as Colin or Mason slots into second place, but it's not the most representative time for Colin. We keep an eye on Cam, because it was another good middle sector for Cam. JM has just gone purple in sector number 1. J. Cole set the best sector 3 so far, but we've only seen 2 times on the board. The Ferrari of Cam rounding through this corner, we were saying, that is moulded after Istanbul. As we see Cam heading in towards the penultimate corner of turn 19. Thomas Mack has gone to second. Of course, Cam had a very good qualifying last week in Catalonia, but Cam's AI got Cam disqualified. So that was not very good. Cam has made a mistake somewhere on that lap, because that's not representative at all. JM is purple in sector 1, heading in towards turn number 20. Of course, the start-finish line is really short here, as JM is going to go 2 tenths off J. Cole at the top, and the Red Bullman is absolutely clear so far in this session. Schnitzel on another good run. Schnitzel, of course, was dubbed Mr. Switchback last week by me. Had a few really good switchback manoeuvres on different drivers. As we see, yellow flag in sector number 1. It's one of the Scuderia Ferraris who's gone off. Of course, Joom in that car now alongside Cam. Schnitzel goes to 5th, and it's Nick going to be starting a lap next behind. As we see J. Cole saunter into the pits. That is the first little rotation, you could say, of drivers setting lap time. Still J. Luke and Cam rules pushing, but it's no purple sectors from them.
Yeah, no, they're certainly pushing to try and find the limits. They will need to know exactly where that is for later when they have heavier cars. But yeah, it's a very solid opening for some of the drivers, and I think you mentioned it a few moments ago. Cam, I think he lifted off going around the final corner because it looked like he was going to go a little bit wide. So that could explain why he's a little bit slower than perhaps we might expect. But J. Luke is invalidated now, as we say that. I wonder what Nick is about to do. Purple through sector 1 according to the game, but not on Taz. It is there or thereabouts though, so he's not too far behind. So this could be, if he keeps it clean, he could well put himself up there in the front row of the grid perhaps.
I actually just got a notification saying Nick invited me to a lobby, so I think my PlayStation may be acting up a little bit, because Nick is certainly flat out concentrated on this lap. Just look what the Mercedes has to face in this sunlight heading in towards one of the heavier braking zones. You're on the brakes for about 18 seconds around this lap time, and that is actually quite a lot for a Formula 1 circuit. I know it certainly doesn't sound it, but it's another good middle sector from Nick. It is purple in the middle sector. It's a 37.3. The best purple sector before that was by J. Cole, 37.4, but Nick has had a bit of a wobble. The Red Bull on the outside of ERT Larkin letting his fellow ERT driver through. Of course, Nick, one of only a few to take 2 wins this season in one hub racing. It's really short season, so wins are very precious. And Nick across the line, here he comes. It's only P3. It's a second row start if it stayed like this for Nick, but I cannot imagine it will. There'll be a lot more improvements, especially from some of the drivers who have not set laps yet, as we see Waitsy coming around the final few corners. He's green in both sectors. They're certainly not purple, but they are still quick, as we see Waitsy head around turn 19. Doesn't want to invalidate, just want to get a lap in on the board at this early stages here in qualifying for the United States Grand Prix. Here comes Waitsy across the line. It's not a bad job at all. Goes to 4th, and there is that bit of a gap once again forming between the front runners and the midfield. It's about 0.4 of a second as it stands.
Yes, there's also a little bit of a gap in the early stages of qualifying. Then I found they sort of closed that a little bit through the middle phases of qualifying, which begin any moment now. And then, of course, the gap sort of reopens itself at the end if everybody gets their lap in correctly. But speaking of getting in laps, Larkin still hasn't registered the time with just over 10 minutes of this session to go. He is on a lap now, but he has to be very, very careful not to invalidate again.
Has to be careful here as Larkin heads around, as sets not a purple sector. It's come up purple on your track map, but of course we have a more advanced timing screen beside us to double check that. In towards a very tricky left-hander. You got to get the power perfect there, but Larkin seems to have got it near to perfect as he heads around in towards the final couple of corners. 19 blind entrance, as you can see, really difficult to nail that apex, and that'll cost Larkin a few hundredths there as he heads around the final corner. Turn number 20 out of 20. It's only 4th position for the World Championship leader. That's not where he really wants to be heading into this one, where he could possibly win the driver's title here in the P2 tier.
Yes, I would love to get a moment of his time before the race if I had the opportunity to find out how confident he was feeling around here, because I know some drivers really don't like this track. It's I used to be one of them, but then I've grown to appreciate it more in the more recent years. When it first introduced to the calendar, I thought, what are they doing with this track? But it's proven me wrong. It's got some good wheel-to-wheel action around it. It's pretty fast and flowing, and it's a decent track, and it is a lot of fun to drive now and great to watch. So I would wonder how he's feeling now. But at the moment, P4 is not too bad. That's all he really needs to do, just manage on his own race and think about events later on. But of course, that's easier said than done.
Well, the thing about Larkin is, ERT Larkin has been the most consistent driver by far this season. He's not finished lower than 2nd since round number 2 in Miami, which really goes to show he's been excellent. He has been truly excellent, has Larkin, but J. Cole's been good as well, and I have to say consistency from JM is why he's up there in a championship fight, as we see Colin Ormason go to 50. He's knocked Waitsy down a peg, as the Mercedesman has gone there just almost in the second row with his teammate, like they have been a few times this season. But JM hasn't finished outside of the top 5 apart from Hungary, where we've seen he had that late crash which really changed the course of that race for the worse for JM, because of course he let the 2 Red Bulls run away in the championship. As Schnicksel may be looking to start a lap. Of course we didn't address it at the start of the session, but Okeke is the last driver to serve his engine penalty ban. Of course in the tiers we see Schnicksel is going to start another lap. It's currently 9th for the Alfa Romeo. It was a top 2 start in qualifying last week in Spain for Schnicksel, so he'll be looking to keep that form coming into this one. Now, of course, he said he likes the track in the pre-race interviews. He said it's historically one of the stronger ones, so we expect a good result for the German tonight, as we see a car off there. It's one of the McLarens who have gone off. I believe it's Waitsy.
Yes, I'm unsure what's happened there. There's so much to keep an eye on here, but yeah, it looks like he's just got maybe cold ties out the pit lane or whatever, but it appears to not have any damage, so I think he's just cold ties and just running a little bit deep or something. But yeah, it's
I think he
easy.
might just be letting people through by the looks of it, and he's just taking a very wide approach at doing so. But that is Waitsy, very respectful driver. You can always expect a lot of respect from Waitsy on the circuit, as Schnicksel entering in towards the stadium section, or so it is dubbed. That's not a purple sector on our timing screens. It is Joom has actually just set a purple sector 2 on our timing screens. So Joom going very quickly here, as Schnicksel His sectors aren't appearing on our timing screen, so it may well have been purple, but Schnicksel entering in towards turn number 19. As we said, this blind entrance, we'll see what the Alfa Male can do. It doesn't look like it's going to be the best of lap times for Schnicksel, but if he could just bump up a few spots, that'll be good for him. He's got a great exit out of the final corner. Schnicksel goes to 4th, but let's just jump quickly to Joom, as Joom goes to pole position here around the United States. It's a 33 flat. Here comes J. Cole to challenge the Ferrari across the line. J. Cole snatches his crown back. J. Luke goes to 3rd, and in a matter of moments, qualifying has changed quite a lot there. Nick, we're looking on board with him here, the Mercedes. We are looking to see what Nick can do.
Oh, yes, we are. It's not looking too bad at the moment. He's still not quite purple overall through Sector 1, but I think that is a small improvement than what he's done before, so I would expect an increase in position again for Nick at the end of this lap, if he can just keep it between the lines nicely. And he's picking the best turning point, and that looks pretty good through there. It's very easy to turn in slightly too early through that corner. It's very tricky, and here you can go a little bit too deep on the exit as well, but he doesn't look like he's done that on this occasion. But it's very, very tight up front, and that 33.000 was a great time, but 32.8 is even better, but somehow 33 looks more pleasing to the eye.
It certainly does, and last time Formula 1 came to the United States, it was 33 that won here, Max Verstappen of course, but last time we came here it was Glock who took the win. Here comes Nick across the line. He will improve to 4th spot and beat JM. He will only jump 1 spot here, but it's back onto the 2nd row, and it could be quite crucial in the 230.8 metre run up to turn number 1 from pole position. Lukey getting all out of shape on an invalidated lap, and we still are yet to see a time from this man, Lasse Larsen. He has taken multiple poles this season, taken 1 win, but overall it's been a poor season for the Haas. We thought he would be challenging for the title after Austria, of course, but he's made a lot of mistakes on opening laps that have really cost him. But it was an impressive win for the Haasman in Brazil, as we await and see what this qualifying lap will be. There's a lot of guys in the pits who'll come back out, as we see Larkin getting ready to finish qualifying lap here. Larkin, 0.6 of a second up. He said in our stream chat a moment ago his confidence is 0 as he's very struggling with COVID. That's not a bad lap at all, and it lacks absolutely no confidence. Larkin up to 3rd spot. It's what he needs if he wants to try and wrap up the title today. Lasse has made a mistake there, and he's pulled into the pits. And will Nick and Larkin get another lap in? They're going to have to push it into the pits if they do want to do another lap time, as we see Colin or Mason and JM both coming out for outlaps now. The 2 Mercedes powered cars, both lackluster, I suppose you could say, in qualifying, but have been very good in the race. And Colin Mason, especially since Hungary, has found a bit of a new lease of life here in the P2 tier.
Yes, he certainly has, and I'm pretty sure the Mercedes will go forwards in the race, just like they did in the lower tiers. Led to believe. I haven't seen the weather conditions for tier 3 yet, but hopefully they're having fun over there. If they're not already finished, they'll be soon to do that.
So we see Colin Mason start a lap heading up towards turn number 1. Of course, it's quite a hefty elevation change, one of the highest on the Formula 1 calendar. It's a really large circuit here in the Circuit of Americas. It's on a very hilly part of Travis County, Texas here, as we see Colin Mason through what is the non-copyrighted Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, as some would say, and heading up this right-hander here of turn 8 and in towards turn 9 and 10. It's three tricky corners, you could say, in towards the braking zone of turn number 11, downshifting from 7th gear to about 2nd or 3rd. Colin Mason opts for 3rd and get on the power for the longest flat-out section. It's a 1,090 metres from 11 to 12, and it's into the sunset here in the Circuit of the Americas. It's certainly not a night race, but whether that's sunrise or sunset, it's in the way for Colin Mason as he kicks up a bit of dirt on the entrance into turn number 12. But overall, the rotation is not bad for Colin Mason, and he's up by 0.2 of a second, and that's just what he needs here if he wants to jump back up to where his teammate Nick is. As we see, it's rotating the car in here of 3rd gear and get the power on while short shifting into this long triple apex right-hander. You can chuck one up the inside if you're your name is Max Verstappen. However, if your name is also Max Verstappen, the chances are you'll get the spot taken off you. That's a really difficult one. Through 19, it's very easy to run wide, but into 20, it's very easy actually to cut the inside. Colin Mason avoids all that and is going to get across the line to go to 7th here. Not a bad lap at all by the Mercedes. He'll be happy with that, hopefully, going into the race, as we see J. Cole pushing like crazy to get to the line. Larkin is done here in this session. He feels he can't get around, so it will be a maximum of 3rd place for Larkin, as we see JM not really, he is improving marginally. He wasn't improving in sector number 1, but he is improving marginally. Our timing screens are not working on the task for the moment, so we're just judging by the game here, folks. We do apologise for it, but still, we're in for a titanic ending to the penultimate qualifying session of the season. We see JM heading around that triple right-hander in towards 19 with a bit of an apex cam. How does JM get to it? Oh, he's on the limit. Through turn number 19 is JM, and that is absolutely as close as you can be. Through there, a big snap at the final corner. Lap done, as easy as that for JM, and that is not what he wanted. He was improving there, as we saw. Schnitzel big through the first sector. You can see him on the limit just about here, but he's almost cut it, and I thought he might have invalidated that one, but he did not. He held it. J. Luke is invalidated. Here comes June to the line. Can he take pole? No, seems to only be starting a run here, does June. He obviously did 2 cool down laps, as we see JM pushing again after that mistake, although I don't believe it'll be much of an improvement for him. We see Cam Rules possibly on course for a best qualifying result of the season for the McLaren man. He's currently beating his teammate Waitsy, who's been superior left, right and centre in the McLaren team all season, but Cam Rules having a great session here in Kota as he heads down towards turn number 19. We see him on the limit taking a bit of that orange sausage curb, same colour as the Papaya McLaren. In towards the final corner comes the Esports Walesman. Across the line goes Cam Rules, and he improves to 8th spot. It's not a bad job at all. Nick has got out for one more run. June is 0.2 of a second up in sector 1, and J. Cole may find himself under pressure here. Red Bull have been dominant all season in terms of qualifying. They have rarely been beaten, but June and Nick look to be improving. Nick is 1/10 of a second up. He's 7/10 off pole, so he's going to have a bit of a monster final sector if he wants to nail this. Lasse Lawrenson has one little bite of the cherry and goes to 4th. He'll start in the 2nd row unless Nick can somehow beat him. It's another improvement there for Waitsy, who does end up beating his teammate Cam Rules. He goes to 8th, as here comes Nick into the final corner. 2-time race winner this season here in the P2 tier. He won in Imola, he won in Austria. Nick across the line. It's only going to be 5th, but what about June? June is improving here. This could be pole position for the Scuderia Ferrari. Bit of a wobble out of the final corner. J. Cole's been dethroned. June will start on pole for the ERT Austin Grand Prix, and right at the death, the Ferrari-man has taken it with a 0.2 of a second improvement, running the special Ferrari livery. Ferrari are back here in the P2 tier. Great result for June, and on his 2nd race he's on pole.
Yes, that's a fantastic way to to finish the session there. Going quick is right at the death, and that's also more impressive given the snap and the loss of control for a momentary when the car went sideways coming out the final corner. So that is quite a pleasant feeling, I imagine, getting pole position when you weren't at your quickest.
June, the Spaniard, starts on pole position after a poor Spanish Grand Prix, ahead of the 2 Red Bulls of J. Cole and Larkin. The 2 title rivals will be heading into turn 1 side by side. Lasse Lawrenson starts in 4th, ahead of Nick in 5th, followed by J. Luke, German, JM, Waitsy, Colin or Mason, Cam Rules, Cam the home hero in 11th, Schnitzel 12th, Lukey 13th, Thomas Mack 14th, and then Akeke, of course, serving his engine penalty in 15th. But June on pole for Ferrari. Of course, Ferrari don't have much to fight for here in the P2 tier, but pride is always the biggest factor in winning Formula 1 races. We're going to just cut to Matthew quickly to have a quick word from our sponsors.
Yes, thank you to the sponsors. We are brought to you by Next Level Racing, who sponsor the league by providing the prizes at the end of the season, and Pure Sim Gear, who sponsor the league by providing a pair of their sim racing gloves to the driver with the most combined pole positions and fastest laps. And of course, our brand new sponsor this season is Gamergoo, who sponsor the league by providing Gamergoo samples to trophy winners, and that is something that I hope to do in the very near future. Get some sort of trophy, because I really want to try their Gamergoo. And our partners here at One Hub Racing are Vespertine, who support our championship prizes, and ERT partner. The ERT Go and Get Stuff Award and League trophies. And of course, we are now powered by SimGrid, run our seasons through their community and platform, and it's a very nice, sleek one hub, if you will.
Here we go then, 10 seconds to go. I believe formation lap is still off, but we have a 5.513 kilometre circuit here. 3.425 miles is the circuit of the Americas. 20 corners, 11 left, 9 right, with a lap record from Charles Leclerc. Here we go, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in Austin. We go racing in the United States. June gets off well from pole position, but heading into turn number 1, it is a poor start from one of the Red Bulls, J. Cole and Larkin, the two championship rivals, side by side into turn number 1. JM's got 3 spots into 1, and it looks like Nick has just been pushed off the circuit as we hit through the tight turn number 2. It narrows down to this section of the track as we don't really see anybody risking it side by side. All cleanly through here on the first sector. It seemed like Nick was the only big loss, but Lukey is up 6 spots here. He's up as we see Nick go falling down the grid for some reason. Not sure what's happened to him as he's trying to go around the outside of Waitsy on the soft compound tyres. June gets away well from pole position. Larkin in second and J. Cole in third, followed by JM up 3 in fourth. J. Luke last Lawson, and then Lukey, your biggest gainer so far in the opening lap here. Two Mercedes falling down the grid. It is Schnitzel and Thomas Mack side by side. Thomas Mack has opted for the medium compound tyres, as we can get those up on your screen now. We see it's a rainbow in terms of tyre strategy. Here comes Thomas Mack trying to go back on Schnitzel, out of the brakes into turn number 12. He's died both of them. He's died Cam Rolls as well, and somehow it's worked out for Thomas Mack. I've no idea how, but somehow Thomas Mack has he's gone clean down the inside. Last Lawson and Lukey side by side. What's happened? Lassing's bogged down in the middle of the corner, and he's lost 2 spots to Waitsy and Lukey here. Lukey on the medium compound of tyres up the front of the grid though. June finding himself under a little bit of pressure from Larkin now, who jumped his teammate J. Cole, and if Larkin was to beat J. Cole today, he would have a very comfortable championship lead going into the final race in the secure international circuit. A not so hectic lap 1 for P2 tier. Everyone through cleanly.
Cameron's got very, very close to the wall. I think he may have just scraped it, but luckily I don't think he's damaged the car. But that could have been a very I wish I hadn't said what you just said moment. But yeah, luckily no incidents to speak of, no damage so far. But Cam will be needing a change of underwear if he does that again.
Certainly will. Getting close to the wall is something that is reserved for street circuits only, and the circuit of the Americas is moulded after a lot of circuits, but the street circuit is certainly what it isn't, as it's Last Lawson with another early incident in the P2 tier. He goes falling down the grid as Okeke has fallen down the grid as well. Started at the back, but is 4 seconds adrift now of Last Lawson, so something's happened there. Larkin is putting under pressure on June here. The two Red Bulls will have now what I was going to say there, but I was going to say they have a universe worth of confidence, and it's certainly showing. The two Red Bulls are confident here, but J. Cole on the mediums, Larkin on the softs. They've gone for a split strategy at Oracle Red Bull Racing, and is that an interesting one? Whose strategy do we see the better?
In the early stages you want to be on the quicker tyre so you can get slightly more ahead, but of course, having said that, the inverse to that is if you're on the slightly harder tyre, you can be more durable and have more options. But Lasse Larsson is not having a good time. He's got some rear wing damage, so we could well see him fighting control for the rest of this race. And DRS is now enabled after 2 complete racing laps, of course. But that is not great at the moment with a hard runner at the back. But I'm sure he'll stick with it as long as he's got the talent in his hands to do so.
Yeah, of course, rear wing damage, it doesn't fix itself in the pits. You can change your front wing, but you cannot change any suspension or rear wing damage, and that's the problem. It won't affect, it'll affect him a little bit. It won't be drastic as it is, only 33% damage, as we see Thomas Mack and Cam Rules having a bit of a tussle here, and Cam Rules has actually got the job done, but does let Thomas Mack back through. This could hold up Schnitzel as it's Last Lawson gone at the back again, and the Haasman just doesn't have good races in P2. He has great qualifying. He's taken 2 poles this season, but races just not a strength so far.
No, and of course with the ever-increasing need to keep those hot tyres hard, the hard tyres cold, well, not cold, but you need to keep them not too hot so you don't burn them out as quick, and it's a very tricky thing to do, especially when you have half spins all the time. You are going to be tearing those rears to shreds if you are not too careful, so it's going to be a very long or perhaps a very short afternoon for Larson there down in P14.
Oh, it's one of the Mercedes. Oh no, it's Lukey in the Aston Martin who's gone round, and it was a promising race start, gaining 6 spots, but they have all gone, unfortunately, here, and Lukey has spun heading through. Oh, someone else has gone. Oh, it's Lance Lawson gone again, and that was a really high speed spin. Your neck wouldn't be feeling the better after that in the Formula 1 car, as we see Nick up the inside of, or up the outside, mind you, of Waitsy. Waitsy holds the car in, but he has to pile on the brakes, because if he did not, he was going into the side of the Mercedes, and Nick has got that done up to 6th spot here, as the Mercedes is now 2 seconds adrift of J-Luke, as we do see the Haas pull into the pits and retire. The first retirement of the United States Grand Prix is Lance Lawson.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, because we've said that far too often this season. He's just not having any luck in the races, is he? But he, as you say, he's there and thereabouts in qualifying. It's just the races, he can't quite get into them well enough. But we do have a fight between Lukey and Okeke at the back brewing, and Okeke seems to be back in his rhythm now. He started off very slowly for whatever reason, but he's certainly improving all the time. But at the front,
Larkin right on the tail of Joom, and it seems like Joom is holding up the championship leader just a little bit and backing him off into his teammate, as it looks like Cam Rules and Thomas Mack's battle has continued, as we see Larkin, or not Larkin, apologies, we see Larkin piling on the pressure, but we see Joom making a bit of an error there through the stadium section, through turn number 14, a really difficult... Oh, Larkin's round! The championship leader's got it all wrong on the entrance in towards turn 16. I have no idea what's gone on there. That's a really... It's a crazy spin, because you don't normally see a car just go as quickly as that, but Larkin has spun round and June capitalises straight into the pits. Are the soft tyres falling off really quickly here, Matthew?
Yeah, it's the soft tyres will burn really quickly here, with all the undulation and the aggressive curbs and all the stresses of the heavier cars at the front. I think he's done that, one, because the tyres will be not at the best, and two, he would have seen the yellow flag and thought there may be a virtual safety car to take advantage of that, but he's got medium tyres now, or has he? Has he got mediums?
He's got hards.
Hard, sorry, yes.
Tube has gone for the hards, but this race has just completely opened up for J. Cole, because now he's on the better tyre. His teammate has made a mistake. His car isn't physically damaged, but mentally the spin doesn't help, because you did it once. There's the possibility you could spin again. Like, anybody can spin, but that's just the thought that will possibly go through a driver's head, as we see Colin Mason looking to make a move on Cam. Of course, the soft compound tyres have well and truly fallen off. We've seen that demonstrated now with Lukey and Larkin. So could we see Colin Mason maybe make a few moves on the back of Cam? That is the first call here to try and get past the Ferrari, and Colin is very good on the brakes, but he's not that good on the brakes, so he's not going to be able to dive one up the inside there and towards turn number 12. 13 is a no-go as well, so he will have to wait. As we can see, Lukey's worked his way past Thomas Mack, and something else has happened to Keke, because Joom has come out of the pits ahead of the AlphaTauri. As will we see JM venture into the pit lane? We will not. Will we see Nick venture into the pit lane? No, we will not. So it seems like all the other soft compound tyre runners feel they can continue. No, Cam doesn't. Cam's died for the pits in the 42 Ferrari, so Ferrari are gone for a more aggressive strategy here, gone for some undercuts that could possibly work in their favour, as we see Colin Mason now is up to 6th, and just a singular car separating himself and his teammate Nick.
Yep, that's a familiar sight, especially in the last few races. You have the Mercedes nose to tail pretty much at some of them, but Waits is now the meat in the Mercedes sandwich. He wouldn't be enjoyed that overly so, but Larkin's recovered well from his... still don't quite understand what happened. I think he just...
Oh, what has happened there? It's a Keke who's gone round at the back, and I thought it was Cam, but Cam was just coming out of the pits and was an innocent bystander in an Okeke spin. Didn't affect Cam, but Okeke has spun round. It's been an awful race so far for Keke. He took his engine penalty and has just been at the back no matter what.
Yes, it's always good to see him still going when you're having a shocking race like, well, not shocking, but he's had really bad form of late, and it's he's just not doing anything wrong. He's just not getting any good breaks or anything. But he is still persevere, and that is what the Go and Get Stuff award is all about. And yeah, it's one I know far too well from my time here at Warthog Racing. But at the moment, you have to say advantage in the championship stakes goes to Jacob, who is controlling this race perfectly as he needs to, and the soft runners will probably be in this lap. And let's see if that undercut from the Ferrari works for him.
Into the pits goes JM and Waitsy. Two more undercutters. We'll see how this one works out for June as Larkin carries on. Yellow flags. Oh no, it's not going to work out for June, because June has just gone spinning, and the pole sitter and the man who could still have led the race has gone spinning round, and that's put J. Cole in an even better spot. It's also possibly put JM, it's put JM miles ahead of June, so big mistake from June there. It's really cost him, because I thought he was going to get the undercut absolutely sorted. He was in a great position, but the Ferrari has made an error, and errors are so easy to do around the Circuit of the Americas.
Yes, we've seen an awful lot of spinners today in the other tiers for specifically. But yeah, it's definitely easy to do here, especially in the early stages with the heavier fuel load and the way the track is. It's just very, very easy to spin, even if you tried not to. So it just unfortunately happens. But Cam now is out in P12, getting the hards up to temperature, and Nick is still being brave out there on the softs, so that could well see him get an advantage later on in the race as well.
We see Larkin pressuring Colin or Mason possibly into a move, and this is the corner where Larkin had his spin, but Colin doesn't make any mistakes. Colin is on the better tyres anyway, so we should really see Colin win this fight. We should see Larkin into the pits at any point, and of course if it's your first night tuning into One Hub Racing, it's a mandatory 2-stop as we see Nick and Larkin into the pits, meaning Colin Mason is going to inherit P3 and he'll be back on the podium prematurely as we see Nick go for a set of the hards. And what's the Red Bull Larkin going to go for? It's going to be a set of the mediums. Okay, split strategies, I like it from two of the front runners, as Larkin is going to come out of the race possibly behind Thomas Mack. June may still get the front Red Bull here. June is going to come out alongside Nick. This could be close into turn number 1, as June actually does keep this one, so it just goes to show you where June could have been in this race, as Larkin and Waitsy. Larkin's got Waitsy on the pit exit here, but with Larkin trying to heat up those medium compound tires, we could see the McLaren go for a move around the outside in the S's. It would certainly be a bold one, but look, it could happen, and no, Waitsy's got it all wrong through there, and Larkin will keep this position as we await and see what J. Cole's strategy will be in the lead of this race. But June is now stuck behind Thomas Mack, who is not pitted in this one. JM is your lead pitter. He's 5.7 seconds approximately ahead of June, and really JM is in a good spot here. He can still win the title, can JM? It's an unlikely one, but he certainly can do it. That crash in Budapest is not going to help him, but a good result here in Texas would see him in a decent position to fight come Sakir. Here comes June down the inside of Thomas Mack, and Thomas Mack's not going to fight this one, and I don't think he's the tires to fight it anyways, as June flies past the Alpine.
Yes, you see him go past the Alpine there, but there's a lot still happen today. We're only on lap 9, and I feel like we've seen a race full's worth of stuff, and we've still got a lot of laps to do here. So this is a fantastic day to be here watching some One Hub Racing, especially if you are here for the first time. Welcome to you, and welcome everyone that is watching. If you're here every week, we appreciate you coming in every week and watching this fantastic action, especially in the P2 tier. But for now, we have Jacob controlling this race still, and I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to curse anybody. We never do, but it always happens.
He's in a very, very comfortable spot as J. Cole, and would be picking up 20 points for winning the race. Of course, it's a different point system to Formula 1. You can find it on SimGrid if you'd like to read more on that, but it's 20 points for a win, 17 for second. So really, J. Cole wants to be picking up one of them, because an 8-point gap is more difficult to turn around in One Hub than it is in real Formula 1 because of how close the points is. As we see Nick all over the back of Thomas Mack, and I think this will be as easy as turning on a light switch for Nick, because Thomas Mack is not doing too well in terms of his tyres, as to be expected at this point in the race. Really, Nick would be on much better ones because he's made his opening pit stop, and Nick is going to fly past Thomas Mack, as we see Larkin is the next man to tackle Thomas Mack. Thomas Mack is going to actually fight this one back though. No, lifts off into the braking zone, and that's good racing from Thomas Mack. He knows these guys aren't in his fight, and really if he just lets them through and they spit a couple laps up the road, he'll still get the spot anyway. So Thomas Mack with a clever choice there to just let these guys through, and I imagine they'll do the same with Larkin behind him.
Yep, absolutely. You have to just keep doing what you do and know what races you are in and which races you're not in, and that was a case of knowing you're not in the race, but also giving him something to think about. In the meantime, though, if he makes any mistakes, he's going to be...
Here comes JM on the back of Lukey. Sorry to overcut you, but JM is going for Lukey into turn number 1. Lukey has not made a pit stop, but JM is starting to hunt into the front runners here, and he's got that done really, really easily. That was a great overtake for JM, diving down the inside, as we did see Cam Rules into the pits and sliding the rear out of the pits, whilst Esports Wales Cam Rules, driving in PSGL F14 this season, is Cam having a good season. I've been keeping up with him, as he's doing very well, as we're into one of these dull points in the Grand Prix, but this will certainly pick up because this is one-hum racing, and that's what happens. It'll certainly pick up as JM, actually, if we're talking about things picking up, JM made a bit of a controversial statement in his pre-race interview. It was actually the rivalry section, as that's a keke gone at the back actually, but JM did say in his rivalry section, I have a quote unquote here, I have it written in my notebook, saying it depends how the races go. It was asked about the championship, depends how the races go, and then he said, I have a feeling this one might end in a scandal, but we'll see. And I can't lie to you, that puzzled me about what sort of scandal he means, because I really don't know how it could end in a scandal, but anything can happen, as we see J. Cole into the pits for his first mandatory pit stop in the ERT Austin Grand Prix.
Yes, I have absolutely no idea what he means by that either, but I'm now intrigued to see what
I
happens.
am very intrigued. I'm hoping we end in a scandal, really, just to prove JM right. As here we go, J. Cole is on the exit of the pits, and JM is into the entrance of turn number 1. Doom is up to 5th spot here. J. Cole all out of shape, and this is due to the cold tyres. JM on warm, medium compound tyres. J. Cole on the colder hards into the S section. This could be critical corners for this championship, let alone this Grand Prix. You can see J. Cole struggling here. J. Cole versus JM. JM is trying to force his way past the Red Bull, but J. Cole was starting to be getting a bit of heat. He's begging the hard tyres to heat up here, as JM is going to possibly get him into turn 12. He will get the DRS, and he will have the better tyres. But those hards are starting to heat up for J. Cole. You can see he's now getting the exits. He now has the warmth in them. But here comes JM. Can he just tuck into the DRS and the slipstream? He doesn't look close enough. But this is when the DRS is going to pick up. And this is going to be a move down the inside for JM. He's gaining and gaining and gaining it down the inside. Goes to Williams on the Red Bull. J. Cole holds it round the outside. No way through for JM. But JM's going to hold it round the outside here. Is it this one going to work for the Williams? No, J. Cole is going to hold it. Big dive up the inside for the Williams. J. Cole holds it around the outside. It's picture perfect braking for JM. It's picture perfect overtake as JM goes around the outside, which became the inside. Brilliant move for the Williams.
Yes, you see this. It's like a high-speed chess match, and that was a fantastic manoeuvre there from JM, just lining up, try and switch it back up, switch it back, and eventually you get your way through.
That's such a good move from JM. I actually pulled my headphones out of my microphone midway through that, so well done JM, but it's a brilliant move. J. Cole is going to be right on his tail. This could be a battle to allow Doom, Larkin and Nick back into this one. Of course, Lukey is right behind these two, but still has to make his pit stop, as well as J. Luke. Of course, AlphaTauri had a nightmare of a Spanish Grand Prix, but J. Luke is running much better here in the United States. Keke really isn't, which is unfortunate for him, but look at J. Cole right on the tail of JM. Could that move have only been a premature bit of excitement for JM, as J. Cole is going to try and get this spot back into turn 12. You can certainly battle around 12, 13, 14, 15, as we see JM with the great moves. As here we go, J. Cole tucks into the DRS, tucks into the slipstream of JM, and I fear the Williams may just be a sitting duck in this one, as J. Cole's got to go down the inside. Who's going to break the later? Oh, J. Cole's already passed. It doesn't matter who breaks the later of the two, and that's the Red Bull retaking second position, which is pretty much first here in this ERT Austin Grand Prix. If JM can fight this one back, we'll have to wait and see until lap 13, but it looks like these two are about nip and tuck on pace if we're going by the fastest laps. There's only 3 tenths separating them, but J. Cole on the fresher tyres.
Yes, fresher tyres at this stage is very important to everyone. Even if it is fresher hards, you will expect to have the grip on the slightly used mediums even then. So it's definitely going to be a key battle to watch for the rest of this race, because this could decide the championship next week. Of course, it could still be over this week, but at the way things stand at the moment, we will definitely be going to next week.
Yeah, the way things stand now, folks, we will 100% be going to next week. The championship to pretty much wrap it up for Larkin. He would be him winning, and then Checo finishing 8th or 9th, and as it stands, it's not looking like that, but anything can happen here in one hub, and we usually expect it to happen, and it almost pretty much does happen. So definitely don't write it off just yet, because really anything can happen. As we've said, as June picks up a free second time penalty's been clawed in by Larkin and Nick. Larkin's actually made his way past Nick on the medium compound tyres, but that would be expected, as Larkin has had the pace over Nick and he's on the better tyres, but Nick is keeping with him. To be fair, he's keeping with the championship leader, as JM is not close enough to J. Cole on this attempt, so it seems like J. Cole does have this one pretty much wrapped up.
Yes, it certainly seems that way. And just to give a little preview of the championship standings, if it was to finish like this, there's no guarantee that it will, but if it did, the championship would be decided by about 2 points going into next week. They would all be very much nip and tuck. It's going to be a lot closer than it is now, especially with Lockett only scoring 10 points for 5th place. And yeah, it's definitely advantage J. Cole just about, but Lockett is still doing just enough.
He'll now inherit the lead, because J-Luke is into the pits. The AlphaTauri pulls into the AlphaTauri box for the soft compound tyres. This is a random strategy, but I absolutely love it. As it's aggressive, it really is, and he's going to come out of the pits behind Nick here, so really that long stint has actually worked for J-Luke, and he'll be on the softs. As we see, will he get out in front of Nick? Actually, Nick is going to have to try and force a switch back here, as J-Luke all out of shape on the exit of turn number 1, and Nick has got that one done here because of it, but I certainly believe J-Luke will be flying back past him once these soft tyres do come up to temperature.
Yes, you can expect him to go straight past on the soft tyres. That is a very bold, aggressive strategy, and you may have heard in my voice, I like that call. It's very, very interesting to see, because now he can do 6 laps on here, and then he can go to some mediums at the end, or if there's a safety car, he can put on the mediums and be in an even better shape as it is. So it's a fantastic call to see, and it's surely just a matter of time before he sweeps straight back past Nick, although Nick has a fantastic exit out of there, at that corner.
Nick is always really good on the exits, but J-Luke, just as a tyre advantage, has the DRS slipstream. The AlphaTauri on the inside. Nick is no doubt going to fight it back, but Nick unfortunately doesn't have a choice on whether he's fighting it back, because J-Luke is through, and I wouldn't even be surprised if J-Luke can catch up to his buddy Larkin here and get past him. I wouldn't ride out J-Luke in this one totally yet, because this is a brilliant, brilliant strategy.
Yes, it could well be a strategy call of the gods that you'll look back on at the end of the season, which is next week, and go, that was a fantastic move, and it will be fresh in our memories because it happened in the penultimate round of the season. But he's doing his best to interfere with this championship picture. He's not in it himself, but this is a case of what could have been. Yeah,
then J-Luke was an awful Spanish Grand Prix in hindsight for him, but there was still some brief moments where he looked good, and certainly strategy is his positive thing to look back on in this season. He's been good with strategy, although strategy sometimes in one hub kind of writes itself a little bit with the different safety cars and stuff, but we've gone smoothly green flag running for the entirety of this Grand Prix, and we've crossed halfway. We are on board with J. Cole, looking back at JM. This is the battle for the race lead, as we see Colin or Mason pick up a 3-second time penalty, and Larkin, the championship leader, has gone spinning at the top of the hill, and that could have huge implications going into Bahrain, because Larkin is now down to 8th position.
Yes, that definitely changes things a little bit more. It's a small mistake, but it could have massive consequences for him. Not maybe this week, but perhaps next week. It makes J. Cole and JM's job slightly easier, But of course, the championship leader, Larkin, is yes, he's the championship leader. For a moment, I forgot who was in the lead, but he is championship leader as it stands. But he is under the weather, so yes, it's perhaps a little bit understandable. And yeah, it's always easy to pinch a break here or there around this track, but there's a fantastic battle going on behind him anyway with Cam and
yeah, to Cam Rolls getting past Waitsy. The two McLarens have made this nothing short of personal, as Cam Rolls gets past his teammate. I suppose they're not really fighting for anything. They may as well have a little cheeky scrap to keep themselves occupied, as J. Luke is now closing in on Doom. So we have a J. Cole, JM, Doom, J. Luke battle for the race win, and I can't lie to you, that one is a tongue twister.
Yeah, so I was just I rolled my eyes when I saw what was happening. Oh no, here we go. When we think it's bad when we have Cam going down the inside of Cam, or Lukey and Jay.
Cam and Cam is normally easy because we can't get it wrong, and if we do get it wrong, it's a bit of an embarrassing one, because, well, if Cam goes down the inside of Cam, that means the other Cam's on the outside of Cam, and that means the other Cam will probably get a bit of wheel spin and the other Cam will get past, so it's normally fairly easy. And speaking of Cam, Colin Mason is on the back of Cam here, so it's all the C's on all the J's battling here in One Hub Racing, because you have Cam Rules just behind, but Larkin, the ERT man, is looking to try to get past and get himself back into this one, and Larkin's possibly going to have to go for the hard tyres towards the end of the race, or either do a long stint on this medium and go to the soft. So it's a bit of a tricky spot for Larkin. But here comes Larkin round the outside of Colin Mason. He does have the Ferrari in front, but the Red Bull is going to brake later than the Mercedes and try hook it round the outside. And oh, that's a brilliant move from Larkin. That is a great one, and really, he still does have championship leading traits, as we see Schnitzel do almost the exact same thing around the outside of Lukey. Schnitzel up to 11th, Larkin up to 7th, and this race may seem all but done, but there is definitely another little bit to go, as Larkin or Lukey and Schnitzel are having a right tussle. Round the outside goes Schnitzel through here. He was the king of the switchback. He's done it again. Schnitzel, oh ho ho! He was almost hit by Lukey, was Schnitzel, as Lukey chucked it up the inside into 19. Nick is into the pits for a set of the medium compound tyres, as here we go. This battle's got to continue for 11th spot between the Alfa Romeo and the Aston Martin, as here we go. Lukey up the inside of Schnitzel. Yellow flags. It's for Rakeke. We can see the onboard camera for Schnitzel. Look how close these two are getting. This is a great scrap, but I think Lukey will just have the tyres on the Alfa Romeo to keep this one.
Yes, you would think he just about has it. There's a yellow flag there in Sector 2 again. I think that's just...
It's a Rakeke, I believe.
Yeah. I was going to say that's just probably a KK just getting out of the way or whatever, but yeah, he's Thomas Mack down in P13. That's not the race he was hoping for either when he came into qualifying, but of course he will be seeing the stewards with his TAS infringement there as well. So that's,
he had the same last week as well, I believe, so it's not going well for Thomas Mack in terms of his TAS. Schnitzel, he's no way close enough to Lukey to have another go here. It was a brilliant move around the outside for Schnitzel through 17 and 18, but it was not to be, as Larkin is on the back of Cam and J. Luke is on the back of Doom. So J. Luke is looking for the podium here, and we should really start... Oh, there we go. We should start to see second pit stops. JM has read my mind, and the Williams is into the pits, and Doom is into the pits. So J. Luke, if he has two sets of softs, you know, he could go for another set of softs in a couple laps time and make the end. Well, no, it would be a bit of a stretch. It would be a little bit of a stretch, but doable.
Yeah, it's certainly doable, especially towards the end where you have lighter cars and there's a little bit more rubber down there on the track, so you're not using as much of your own as you would be at the start of the race. But yeah, you're going to have Larkin trying to get past... Well, he's got past Kaimai. He's trying to get past
JM is really slow on the pit exit, and Cam has gone clean around the outside of the Williams through turn 2 in towards the S's. JM is trying to get those hard compound tyres heated up, and it's really not the tyre you want to be on at this stage in the race. But JM is starting to struggle behind the American, and the American is on the podium in the Circuit of the Americas, and the fans will be delighted. Of course, the United States producing 2 Formula 1 world champions, and of course their the driver with the most race starts, Eddie Cheever. We can't forget him, 132 race starts for him. Cam, certainly the American with the most race starts in one hub, as Colin O'Mason has got past his fellow eSports Walesman Cam Rules. We see JM have a dive on Cam. This could be crucial for the race lead. He's not close enough. He's still gonna go for it. Down the inside goes the Williams. Oh, what a move from JM. That is a beautiful overtake, and it really is a brilliantly produced send for JM. As we see Larkin, big dive down the inside of Cam. The Red Bull follows him through, but Larkin of course still has to make a second pit stop. JM does not, and JM's in a very good spot here in this one.
Yes, he certainly is, and J. Cole out in front as well is in a good position too, so it's definitely a lot better than he was earlier on, but of course you never really know what's about to happen. But that move came out of absolutely nowhere. You said he wasn't close enough. Yes, he is. I think he's always got to be close enough with braking like that.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Unbelievable on the brakes. As we see Joom, Joom has got both. He's got Colin O'Mason and Cam Rules in towards turn number 1. Wow, Joom producing a couple of good moves as well on those medium compound tyres, and despite a spin earlier, Joom still feels he's the part to play in this one. Yellow flag. Is that J-Luke gone round? No, it is his teammate Okeke.
Okay, so that's a bit of a drop. I think he's just moving out of the way of the leaders, that's a bit harsh, Gabe. Come on. That's ridiculous.
As we see Joom get past Cam. Now, I think Cam may have just let Joom through.
That's an interesting tactic there, but now he's going to have the DRS to try and get straight back past his teammate if he wants to. But I don't know.
No, he's tucked in behind, so I think this is tactical. As we see, the two eSports Walesmen have another scrap. Colin Mason down the inside. He's pushed the McLaren off the track actually there, so a bit cheeky, Colin, but we'll allow it. As we see Lukey now trying to. This race has just kicked off in the last few moments. You see Lukey trying to have a go at Cam Rules. There's still a lot of pit stops to happen in this one. Is J. Cole in? No, J. Cole carries on. As we can have a brief look at the pit stops here. You can see there's still a lot of people left to make their second mandatory stop. As we see Larkin serving his now.
Yes, JM is the net leader, as he's the only one of the top 3 that's stopped twice, and of course June behind him has now stopped twice as well, and the people behind in the pits now are serving their second stop. So JM changes everything with this one great result, which he was slightly lacking last time. Well, not last time, but the time before that in Hungary. He could make off his DNF here with a fantastic strong win here. So we'll see how that changes the championship as it gets towards the check of the flag here today. But this, take nothing for granted. These lads give it everything, every lap they get.
Yeah, of course. If JM wins today, do not write him out of it for the championship. He has been Mr. Cool and Calm, but it really does mean something to him. And of course, JM is predicting it to end in a scandal, so anything really could happen here in one hub. As we see Nick go for the move on Lukey, and I feel the two admins battle will only last a couple of corners because Lukey is on much worse tyres as Nick has squeezed him right onto the curb. The Mercedes are starting to get their elbows out a little bit, and I like to see it. It's the aggression you need on on the racetrack. Maybe not as aggressive as pushing them off the circuit, but a little push onto the curb never did anyone any harm. As we see J-Luke into the pits, JM is going to go back up to second spot in this one. But really, coming towards the end of the race, he's not going to be on the best of tyres. As what's J-Luke going to go on? It is going to be oh no, it's another set of softs to the end as Okeke has picked up another time penalty. Them softs are going to be a little bit of a stretch for J-Luke, I feel.
I think he's probably going to be just about on the acceptable limit. Yeah, it's definitely going to be no fun on the last lap, maybe the last few corners, especially the high-speed Sector 3 on those old softs could be a little interesting.
Oh, Okeke's gone on a really awkward spot. He's gone on the main straight here. As that's not good for Okeke. He took an engine penalty, but hasn't made much of a difference. As we see Cam and Waitsy. Cam has gone past Waitsy and Colin Mason and Schnicksel and Cam Rules because there was a load of pit stops and a load of confusion, and it's really causing a bit of a kerfuffle in the midfield. But Cam is 9th, Wadesy 10th, Colin 11th, Schnicksel 12th, and Camrose 13th, and they're all within a couple of car lengths of each other. It's a really great battle here, but Doom is really gaining on JM on these mediums. Mediums seem to be the tire to be on at this moment in the race, and do we expect J. Cole in this lap? I imagine we do.
Yeah, if I was J. Cole, I would probably go one more lap, which he looks like he's doing.
He does go one more. He can definitely go soft to the end then, as Larkin and Thomas Mack. Larkin gets past him. Larkin gaining another spot, and if he can gain enough on these softs, he may gain one or two more. As we see Colin Mason and Cam Rules have another battle, but it's actually Cam Rules getting past Schnicksel is what happened there. And Schnicksel was fantastic last week in Spain. He drove really well, but it's not been for the Alfa Romeo today. He's down 13th.
Yeah, sometimes you have these fantastic races like before, and he just doesn't roll for you the next time you take to the track. And we've all been there. I'm fairly certain it is just as likely to come back and win next week as well. But Colin Mason's exploiting track limits a little bit too hard at the moment. But Nick is up into 5th place there. He's doing himself a world of good after the couple of disappointments he's had in recent races. This is going to be a good tonic to the couple of 8th places he's had after his win in round Imola. So yeah, it's definitely, I think he likes these kind of tracks, and he can definitely get his elbows out, as we saw earlier on.
Rules. He almost was looking for a move on Colin, but he's just got it completely wrong and almost veered off into the barriers. But Cam Rules does keep it behind Colin Mason for the moment, and as Colin is attacking his teammate, of course, one thing not to forget is J. Cole said in his interview, and this may have some influence on his strategy, he said, as always in P2, there will be late safety cars. So maybe, well, the answer to my question is that he's not waiting for a late safety car because he's just pulled into the pits, but maybe we still will get that late safety car, as this is going to be a scrap depending on where J. Cole comes out of the pits. He's gone for the softs, and I feel he's going to be miles in front because JM's just coming around the final corner. J. Cole's almost out of the pits as it is, as yeah, he's on the pit exit now. This is not even going to be close into turn 1. J. Cole is going to lead here in the United States by a mile.
Yeah, he's certainly pulled that off fantastically. That extra lap certainly did him a world of good, as JM is probably just getting to the best part of the hard usage, but will get quicker with each and every lap that passes from this point on. But of course, maybe the scandal he's referring to is just a little cheeky jibe at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in real life, which crowned Max Verstappen the first Dutch world champion in Formula 1. Maybe that, well, not the first, but the first in a while anyway.
Oh, here we go. Waitsy and Cam Rules getting all antsy. We've seen it happen multiple times as Lukey. Oh, if he went for that one, that would have been move of the season, but he had to back out in towards the S's section, and move into turn 4 is not what you want to do around the Circuit of the Americas here in Texas. We have to just jump up the front because here we go. June, J-Luke and JM all battling. June trying to go clean round the outside. He's bumped over the curbs, and the sausage curbs have caught up the yellow Ferrari as J-Luke is round the outside. I should say the red Ferrari with a bit of yellow on it, but he's gone off there on the sausage curbs. J-Luke is up onto the podium now. J-Luke could still win this one depending on his pace, and if J. Cole does make a mistake, who knows what could happen, as J-Luke is going to try and get past JM. He's certainly on the better tyres. I don't see why he wouldn't do it in the AlphaTauri, as he would be a brilliant return to the podium for J-Luke as he's rounding the final corner to get that DRS, using up his battery. Don't forget Hume is still behind him, so he can't be as risky, but it's going to be an easy DRS pass for J-Luke, and in a matter of a few corners, J-Luke is up to second here in the ERT Austin Grand Prix. We're on 24 out of 28. We still could have a bit of a Titanic finish depending on what happens to J. Cole. Of course, he is leading by 3.1 seconds, but J-Luke may have the quicker pace. I don't think he does, however.
No, I don't think he does, but he's certainly going to give it everything he's got to try and make us think that he has. But this is a Titanic scrap we're going to have at the podium, and it would be if there's
Colin Mason. Colin Mason's had a massive slide through turn number 1 as June is round. Nick now up to 4th, but unfortunate for June. That's his second mistake of the day, however.
Yes.
Oh, this could have even more implications because Doom has right front wing damage. And take a look at who's behind him. It is Larkin.
Yeah, I was about to say that's going to release Larkin into 5th place, which is, as we spoke about earlier, that's 10 more points for Larkin, which would keep
Larkin
him
also has
just
the fastest lap, which I believe adds up to be a point in the difference heading into Bahrain.
Yes. Point for fastest lap in and outside the top 10, of course, so you could be 14 theoretically and get a point, which is fantastic.
And that would be really close. A point separating the two Red Bull. No, it'd be 2 points now because J. Cole has just picked up the fastest lap, his teammate, who would inherit the championship lead due to this win because, of course, J. Cole is currently scoring 20 and Larkin, if he could take 5th off Doom, would be scoring 10, I believe.
Yep, that is absolutely
well, J.
correct.
Cole's scoring 21, apologies, because he doesn't have the fastest lap, but it is 20 for the win.
Yes, it's definitely a fascinating battle.
Oh, yellow flag, it's Cam Rules who's gone at the back, and oh, I thought Thomas Mack was going to plough into the back of him there. Thomas Mack had a loss of belief in the ghosting system for a moment, because I certainly wouldn't have been that confident, as we see JM battling his Williams up the hill, but if he could just bring it home, he'd still take home 3rd here, and I believe it would keep him in the championship fight. It would be nothing short of a miracle if he could win it, but I believe it would still mathematically keep him in the championship fight, as really it will be between the two Red Bulls come Bahrain.
Yes, it's looking highly likely it's going to be between the two Red Bulls, but J. Cole is doing everything that he can think of to be the one that's probably going to have a slight more possibility of winning perhaps, but of course 21 points for win and fastest lap would then put him on 98 points, and Larkin on 10 points would put him on to 95, so that would give J. Cole a 3-point advantage if it was to finish the way we expect it to, if Larkin could get past Doom. But of course, Doom has
Colin Mason gets past Schnicksel.
No. Larkin's in the wall again.
Oh, Larkin is in the wall. Larkin, has he picked up damage? He certainly lost a couple of spots and it's put him in a train. Larkin has picked up damage.
Oh dear, that changes everything as well.
Anything can happen in one hub. We usually expect it to, and it normally does. Larkin's in the pits. Larkin has possibly just lost the championship. He's almost gone in the pit wall. And the Red Bull man, it was going to be only a couple of points going in to Bahrain. It's going to be a mass amount of points going into Bahrain, despite him leading before this race. He is possibly going to pick up the fastest lap for outside the top 10, but his teammates still going to pick it for inside. Larkin is down to 13th and second last, with 2 laps to go here in COTA. Unbelievable turn of events.
Yes, that's... I hope he doesn't listen back to the commentary, because I think I might have some words with him in the paddock if we ever cross paths again, but that certainly wasn't intentional. But even championship leaders are not immune to the pressure that comes with trying to get by the car in front. If you push a little bit too hard when the tyres aren't ready, that is what happens. It's unfortunate, but it's happened to a lot of them. But JM is now trying to get past J-Luke for second place.
Here comes Lukey on Cam. Lukey really late on the brakes, and the Aston Martin has nailed that one. Past the home hero is another spin. It's J-Luke. J-Luke's gone round, and it just seems to be everybody falling in this one. J-Luke is now under pressure from Nick behind. JM goes to second in this one, and you know, JM is possibly in a really good spot heading into Bahrain, despite a J. Cole win, because it was Larkin that's leading the championship, but J. Cole will have a really comfortable lead now.
Yes, that will be comfortable enough, and I think you just coast it home from this point. Just take it easy, make sure you don't commit to the throttle a split second more before you have to. Just penultimate time through the tricky S section. Thomas Mack and the 3-second penalty is not going to change his afternoon much. If anything, it might drop him down outside points, and Larkin could well get a point out of this, with Thomas Mack getting another TAS penalty for not having it set correctly, but...
yeah, of course, as it stands, Larkin's not even scoring points. It's going to be a 20-point swing in the penultimate round of the season, and Larkin's only have one attempt at or he's going to have 2 attempts at a fastest lap. This is unbelievable turn of events here. Nick is pushing on the back of J-Luke, and what looked like a comfortable podium for J-Luke may not even be a podium at all, as here comes Nick down the inside of J-Luke. It's a beautiful send from the Mercedes, and he gets the job done, does Nick. Back onto the podium here after a string of poor results. He is back here to the One Hub Racing podium, is where he adores to be.
Yes, he does like to make an overtake for a podium, and it's great to see him in that position, and all he has to do is hold on for another lap and a little bit, and that's another podium to his ever-expanding list of them. It'll be his third of the season. The previous two were on the top step, however, but third place will do him a world of good, like we spoke about earlier. But J. Cole is now leading the final lap around as Schnicksel decides to get another penalty to make it interesting.
Here we go. Is J-Luke going to have another send up the inside? No, not quite. J-Luke is going to have to just settle maybe for fourth here. It doesn't seem like the tyres are in the best condition for the AlphaTauri, but J-Luke he'll give it all. He's nothing to lose. May as well give it all, as J. Cole in a comfortable spot, leading by 10.2 seconds, but his teammate and his championship rival has had a nightmare of a United States Grand Prix. It was looking like he'd have damage limitation after a couple of mistakes, but really it's all gone wrong as June picks up another penalty. June's carried on with his damage, by the way, so he'll still come home fifth, most likely in this one. And the Ferrari's not had a bad day at the office despite having two spins. He did take pole, so it will be still a good result for him. Of course, it would have been his first race win. And you're not going to be able to take it now unless we have some drastic events on the final lap. Here comes J-Luke. Is it going to be possible for him to get past Nick? It is not into turn 12, and I feel Nick may have this one wrapped up. J. Cole rounding the final few corners. Can J-Luke send one here? He is going to send one. Oh, he's almost sent Nick round, and I think that will be everything. But J. Cole rounds the final corner to take a 20-point swing and win the United States Grand Prix. JM is going to come round in second, and he is going to take another great result after his unfortunate Hungarian Grand Prix collision, which took him out of championship contention. Something's happened to J-Luke here, but he's picked up a 3-second time penalty, and Nick crosses the line for third. J-Luke fourth. June will come home fifth on his second ever One Hub Racing appearance, as Colin Mason has sent one on Schnicksel, and he's got past. Fair play, Colin. Great move for the Mercedes as he gets past Schnicksel for ninth. Waitsy rounding the final corner. Cam, the home hero, will come home 8th. Colin Mason will come home 9th, with Schnicksel will take it via penalty count, and Cam Rules will come home in 11th. It's not the best of performances for Cam Rules, but he'll take any point he can get. Can Larkin take the fastest lap here? If he can't, this would be a nightmare. At least he'd get a point, and it would only be a 20-point swing, because J. Cole will still get the fastest lap, and no, it's nowhere near a fastest lap for Larkin. Championship may have just been decided virtually for his teammate in this situation, despite having an 8-point lead coming into the race. The in-game driver of the day is Lukey, but stick with us to hear myself and Matthew's driver of the day. But wow, what a dramatic end that was.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's as scandalous as they tried to have you believe in the pre-race comments, but it's certainly pretty close to entertainment, and that is just, yeah, it's... Well, there's going to be a lot to unpick next week in just before they go racing, certainly through the qualifying session. Now, you know how quickly it can change. We've seen it tonight, but I think the thing that was holding Larkin back is probably played on his thinking, and he's probably gone for a move he didn't... Well, not a move, but he's probably gone for a little bit of extra motivation when he didn't really need it, knowing the car in front had damage, and maybe just damage limitation should have been the key. Maybe take the Alan Prost approach, but anyway, I'll let you do the provisional results before we talk about drivers of the day.
Here we go then. J. Cole wins in the United States despite starting from second, and he will take the championship lead quite comfortably heading into the final round in Bahrain. JM finishes in second, the German back on the One Hub, or he was on the podium last week, but it's another P2 for JM. Nick back on the podium in third, followed by J-Luke in fourth. June in fifth, followed by Lukey in sixth. Waitsy in seventh. Cam 8th. Schnicksel 9th. Colin R. Mason will pick up 10th ahead of fellow Welshman Cam Rules in 11th. Thomas Mack 12th. and Larkin he will pick up the fastest lap outside the top 10, so it will still be a point for Larkin, but it's still a miserable result in the 13th. And then Okeke 14th did finish 2 laps down, and Last Lawrenson was your only DNF of the race. We did not have a virtual safety car or a safety car, but Matthew, I do have to ask you, who is your driver of the day?
Well, I like to say, preamble, there's so many things happened today that it's worthy of it alone, but I think I'm going to go with a slightly conservative approach, and I'm going to go for the man that finished in 6th place today, Lukey. He started 13th, finished 6th, kept it clean, did what he needed to do, and the question I'd like to ask him was, were you preparing for any late safety cars to try and jump the gun, or were you just happy enough with the strategy you were on?
I am going to go for J-Luke, who had a brilliant strategy, and the question I'm going to ask him is, how did you come up with that brilliant strategy in the race? Because he was on a great strategy. Apart from a spin, he was on a great strategy. He had purple sector 3 come the end of the race, so still, it was a great result. But J-Luke's my nomination for a driver of the day. J. Cole is Matthews, and you can vote on our Twitter page, One Hub Racing, to cast your vote there. Of course, if you want to tune in to the P1 tier, you can, with Liam and the newly crowned P4 champion, Jamie. After 14 seasons in the league, Jamie's picked up the P4 championship. Go into the chat and give him a congratulations. Tell them that the P2 tier sent you to congratulate him. And yeah, it was a brilliant result for him. But we had a great race in P2 here. Matthew, what's your final thoughts on it?
Just cannot wait for next week now. Bring it on, Bahrain, and let's see what you got to offer.
Yeah, if it's anything like the rest of our races, it should be very good. Thank you all for tuning in to Everton 1 Racing tonight. We do hope you join us for round 8 in Bahrain. It will be a brilliant championship finale. Thank you very much always to Matthew for joining me, and stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.